Guys, we are doing a dropping in on. I am going to see the guys at RIDE JBI suspension. Gonna give us a little tour. I'm gonna get a set of forks to try out, and we're gonna get kind of like a behind the scenes look of what goes on at the facility here in Murrieta, California. And as you can see, there's just, I mean, you're in the mecca of, if you know this location, you know what is all around here. You know the different shops that are around here, all that kind of stuff. And so they're right in the heart of it. And there's a few things I think that will surprise you. But I'm gonna leave it up to those guys to really be the ones that could surprise you, because I'm not knowledgeable enough on suspension. I let the smart guys do the talking. JB.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Very good. Thanks so much for coming in. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes.
I know we're getting a little tour of your facility here, huh?
Indeed. Yeah, man. That, and we're putting together a set of forks we did demo try out at Fox Raceway, aka Paula Raceway.
I know everybody gets like up in their arms about calling it Paula or Fox or whatever. But yeah, so
right.
I am with my boy over here. Oh, there he is. We're gonna get, like I was saying outside, we're gonna get a little tour. There's a few things that I want him to point out that I think sets RIDE JBI apart from some other people that maybe you guys haven't heard of before, haven't seen, and to get to know these guys. The thing that drew me to him originally was how he is as a person. So that's what I hope you guys see on camera. So yeah.
Cool. Well, let's start up front here at the front shop, man. I'll turn off this fan so we get rid of that fan noise. But when you first walk in, we try to do a good display displaying the products that we have here. All the products are something that we designed here at RIDE JBI. And anything we make pretty much has a reason behind it, either a functionality one to increase the performance or a durability to increase the service life of the item. Or sometimes it's duality, both, so we get better performance and service out of it. Behind me is some of our demo suspension that we have.
I know, that caught my eye immediately. Like, I mean, so coatings out, when I first saw a lot of your stuff, is you guys do a lot of funky coatings like that. I think some other companies maybe don't do.
We do, yeah, man. I put a lot of effort into making our stuff perform really, really well, and I want our stuff to reflect that with the aesthetic. So over time, I started figuring out, how do I trick out my own bike, first of all?
You're a vet rider.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So over time, people kind of caught on, like, hey, can you do that on mine? I'm like, absolutely. So, but this is all our demo stuff, and what we've done is we've built up at least 2 sets of everything. So I say at least 2 because this is our kind of WP shelf. So this is one of our cone valve forks, and inside of here is our motocross setting, and that's what we currently sell to the public. So if you call us and say, hey, I want a moto spec, you're gonna get our moto spec and then customized to you. To the left of me, I have our very well used, I call it demo or development set of cone valve forks. So these ones are what we develop settings inside of. That way we can go to the track or the trail, depending on the setting that we're testing. We can start the day off with a setting that we know performs well, pull those forks off, put these on, and then we can determine, is it better, is it different, or is it worse? Ideally, we're only looking for better. If it's worse, obviously we don't want that. If it's just different, well, there's no advantage in that. But what I've learned a lot of times is if you never go back to revisit what you changed, sometimes we're hard pressed to determine, well, it feels different, maybe that is better. So it's nice to be able to revisit that.
Well, the other thing too, when it's quote unquote different, is you ride away, I don't ride. I ride away, he doesn't ride. So if you see that it's different, but you see it reacts this way, maybe it's better for me. Who knows? You know what I mean? But at least you have the data for that.
Yep, and it saves us time not having to take apart the same set of forks over and over. We can venture away. Sometimes we can try very minor changes. Other times we'll try some pretty radical ones, depending on what we're getting after. But this is our shelf of demo stuff. We got some 6500s.
So what all bikes can you get demo suspension for?
Everything but Suzuki. Sorry, guys. We just
I feel so bad.
I think we've had 2 Suzukis in this shop over the 7 years I've been here, so it's just not
worth it. Yeah.
A high demand item, unfortunately. But we have them all. Like this is the other fork for the Kawasaki. For the Kawasaki's, we have a set of KYB forks that are these ones, and then we have a set of Showa forks as well, because they fit interchangeably Reason for that is from 2020 to 2024, the KX250F had KYB suspension on it. And then the 2022 Kawasaki 450 SR edition had KYB suspension on that people raved about. Whereas the 450 has always been Showa from 2015 to current. So what helps for us is to always, again, benchmark, compare. Right now, the Showa stuff is on a rider we help out named Parker Shields. That's on his bike right now. And we're going to meet up with him likely at Fox as well on Friday and do a cool Kawasaki KYB versus Showa test.
Nice.
For it to show people, hey, like, we're here to learn. Then this is our Yamaha stuff that we got for the Yamaha people. We got some cool finger clicker on it. Great job, Works Connection. I'm making a billet adjuster for that. And then just, again, we like to do coatings.
I was kind of surprised this one wasn't blue. You know, like that one, Cowie was green. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
I've tried to blue coating before back in like 2015 and it wore off incredibly fast. So what people don't pick up on is different coatings or different materials. Black is DLC, it means diamond light carbon.
Yeah.
Or sorry, diamond light coating. And carbon is one of the strongest coatings we can use. And by strongest, I mean how well it bonds to the material we're applying it to, so it's hard to come off. And also just how hard it is, I mean how hard it is to scratch. If people are familiar with hardness scales, they know that diamond is one of the hardest materials and you can't scratch a diamond without another diamond or some sort of ceramic. When it comes to these colored coatings, these are what we call a titanium nitride base. So again, it's not carbon based, instead it's titanium nitride. So the different colors are not the same exact material. While they are quite strong, they're not quite the same level as DLC. Again, I did try blue a long time ago. It wore off incredibly fast, and I was really bummed about it.
Yeah.
So we don't really sell it too much for it. And then we love the gold as well for it. The gold's always just a cool looker.
Looks good.
Yeah. But so we've always got a bunch of cool stuff.
What's your turnaround time on coatings?
It depends, man. So some coatings I can show in the back we keep in stock. We got DLC on hand, and we got some sapphire blue tubes that are like a bluish purple. So I guess I lied. We can get blue, but it's just the entire tube now. Yeah. And those are done over in Italy, I believe. A vendor of ours called K-Tech is the one that manufactures those tubes. And we've had some pretty good success with those ones. And then up front, man, we've kind of broken it down to our Showa container box and then our KYB box. So all of our JBI spec Showa parts we have inside of here, and we kind of break it down for like a lot of our fork stuff. One of our key items is called our sub valve, which replaces the OEM one. That'd be the stock one right here.
Yeah.
We keep a lot of original parts, so that way you can always test fit items to verify it fits correctly, we designed it correctly. Up top would be some of our compression adjuster pistons. These go behind our compression adjuster clicker. I'll show you a better. I'm a visual learner, so here's actually a Works Edition compression adjuster. So what I did, kit compression adjuster. What I did was I looked at the piston behind it and what type of design it was. I noticed it was different than stock. So what I went ahead is I redesigned this out of titanium, and then we apply that to the stock shock compression adjuster. Okay. So that way, without having to buy this whole unit, we can get some of the same similarity in performance. Because what's cool, man, is I may break the law, I can never break physics. Yeah. So if we use items of similar designs and geometries, we're gonna get very similar results. So that's what's really cool about physics, man. As long as we do something similar, we know with high probability it's gonna work very similar.
Yeah. That's the other thing too that I think that's what draws me to these guys too. They ride. And
for sure.
you have a lot of people that do this, and I don't mean that if you don't ride, you don't know what you're doing, but you stand behind your product, and he'll test his product and he'll put his stuff on there, and if he sees a setting or something like that, he can figure it out pretty quick by riding it, and I think that that's cool. Not that many people do that.
Thank you. And by no means am I the end-all say-all. I'm more of I ride the bike, I like to get a good baseline, and then I reach out to get feedback, because what I learned through statistics in school is the bigger sample size I can get, the better the feedback's gonna be. So if I can work with 10 people, and if I get 8 out of 10 and go, wow, this is really good, and maybe just 2 don't like it, then that tells me, hey, we're on a pretty good roll. But if 5 out of 5 are pretty split, then that tells me I still got some work to do to
Yeah.
get a more consistent positive feedback. Suspension is subjective.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be some subjectiveness to it and what's good, and we can always personalize that, but the better I can build something that is well liked for a lot of people, that
Yeah,
tells
broad
us our
range.
overall,
Yeah.
our base setting is very good, and then we can fine tune it from there.
Speaking of that, when you started this in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
And then so when did you move here? Give me a quick rundown of how you got to this point.
I worked at a dirt bike shop when I was in high school and just thought it was a ton of fun. I thought the owners had a blast. So I was like, I want to own a dirt bike shop. So I moved from Reno to Arizona to go to ASU, and I got a business degree at that time in supply chain. So if there's one thing I've learned to be pretty good at, it's how to source items locally and around the world. And then while I was at ASU, I actually worked at a suspension shop. Luckily for me, the owner of that suspension shop was a mechanical engineer by trade. So the way he taught me suspension was beyond, here's how you take it apart and put it together. It was that plus, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, and here's what you should expect. And he explained it to me on a very fundamental level in terms of physics. At that time, I only had a high school level of physics because I was a freshman in college. So my understanding was not at the same level of his, but it put an impression on me that I can learn this stuff at a very ground level. And by that I mean like the fundamentals of what's going on inside of a damper for it. So whether it's a shock or a fork. Technically a fork is called a telescoping shock. It's like a telescope compresses down in its size. So that's all the fork is. It's a shock that compresses down.
I've never heard that in my life.
Yeah, so so shock.
Yeah.
Sorry, a fork is a shock.
Yeah.
We just call them forks because they have their own name. But very much the same stuff inside of here. It's just our KYB.
All the KYB stuff.
Yeah. We recently made our own KYB pistons. There's some cool ones right here. They're out of titanium. We did a cool burnt blue look. We'll have our own JBI KYB DIY kits coming out. Hopefully this fall around September. That's one of the early pieces that we're getting made for it. And we got some other pieces. Let's see. We got our own pressure springs coming out, which I'm really hyped on. So reason being is these are some pressure springs from KYB. They're great, but when you start buying a lot of one thing, your cost kind of sucks.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, they don't plate theirs, so they rust over time. So what I've learned is we can get stuff plated for like $1 more.
Yeah.
And one, it looks awesome. Two, we can color code our springs, so we can look at these and go, all right, these are this rate spring. Our chrome ones are this rate spring. But I actually came out with our own custom spring rate for the KYB stuff. So we have a motocross spring rate, and then these would be our off-road spring rates.
Okay.
Or if you want a really plush moto setup, we can use these.
The funny thing is I know that there's probably a performance increase by having the coating or whatever, but like me, and you won't ever see that, right?
No,
it's inside.
Yeah.
But to me, knowing it looks cool makes me happier.
No, thanks. I'm the same way.
Like I know that's dumb and it doesn't really do much, but to me, I mean, it just looks cool. It feels cool, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, what's a lot of I've learned with manufacturing over the years is the manufacturers have every incentive to make something as cheap as possible that still works. And hats off to them, they do a great job at it. But to coat a spring like that, it's like an extra 50 cents per spring. Yeah. And it'd just be rad if they did that from the get-go. But they're on a different scale than us. They're probably making millions of them, or we're buying 1,000 at a time. Yeah. So it's understandable. But at the same time, it's like, man, come on, give us
a little bit.
Yeah. This is our clean room we have up front. So this is where we do a lot of final assembly on the suspension for it. Right now I'm finishing up a set of KYB beta forks. And these are set up for flowy single track. The way we describe that is any type of off-road riding where you have good momentum as you ride. So typically you're in second, third, fourth gear for your speeds. It does account for slowing down to maybe first and working through a tight technical section, and also clicking up to fourth and hauling ass on some fire roads. But again, it really focuses on that second, third gear speed. We did a revalve on it. One of our key items is our JBI Pro Perch. It gives the forks really good bottoming. What's unique about ours is as the oil flows through the inside and it comes through these slits are gonna flex open. So imagine like a saloon back in the cowboy days where people walk in and the saloon doors open. So that's similar to this. There's a very thin slit in the center. Depending on how much pressure we apply to that, will determine how much that flexes open. The reason for that is the more restrictive we can make this, the better bottoming we get. But if it's too restrictive, it's not going to feel good to the rider. Yeah. So what we did is we figured out a way to give you the best bottoming without it being harsh to the rider individually. And this just complements what we call a revalve. To oversimplify what a revalve is, that's where we modify the internals of what's called the damper right here. And the damper is what gives us the majority of what we call our compression damping. So as we compress down, and then the rebound damping as it extends back out. So that's 90% of the feel that you get from the damper. It also gets complemented by what's called our volume spacer. This influences how stiff the fork gets as it compresses. So by that I mean, as the fork compresses down this way, it's going to build up compression resistance, meaning get harder to push down and continue going down. The biggest effect on that is going to be spring rate and the amount of air inside the fork. We can manipulate the air volume with oil, or we can also do it with our volume spacer. Probably our most misunderstood but simplest product that we have. I borrowed the idea from mountain bikes. Mountain bike shocks have air shocks, and they give you these little spacers to put inside of them to tune how progressive you want the shock to be. So instead of changing the air pressure on the shock, you just change out the spacer. So my buddy told me about that, and the light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, dude, we're going to apply that to forks. So that's what that came out with. But this is one of our more high-level builds, meaning we did a revalve with the volume spacer with the Pro Perch for it. So that's like our best KYB build that we can do for it. And then to the left of you is our shock machines, and these fill them up with oil. As right here, you can see right now it says this one's all done. It just needs me to set the nitrogen pressure inside of it, and then I can disconnect it. And that's the shock that goes with it. We got 2 machines, both work great, but my dad told me when I was young, he said, whatever your highest performing asset is, you should have 2. So that way, when one breaks, you're not up Schitt's Creek. So, wow, this one is still working great. Lava 7 reached out to us, said, hey, we got new machines, we'd like to try one. And we said, yeah, we always want to try stuff and learn, because what I learned, you don't know, we don't know. So I'm never too hesitant to try new things. So at least go, hey, at least tried it. Not everything's a win, but this machine turned out to work really, really well for it. And then we shoot a lot of filming in here. We got some good lights, as you can see. We're really big on being organized. The busier we get, the more organized we need to stay with suspension. It's very much a craft. It's a very detailed thing to do, like a motor. You got a lot of small
Yes, a lot
parts.
of small parts.
So it's easy for stuff to kind of creep and run away. And it sucks to be almost done with the build and be missing something. So for us, we're huge on staying clean and staying organized for it. So that way we really limit any possibility of that happening. Does that happen? Of course, man, we're people. But it's very, very uncommon. We work really hard to not have that happen. So we're cruising the back in the warehouse where we keep a lot of our products. Then we got 2 of my coworkers, Will and Anthony. So back in the warehouse, man, we recently partnered up with Bridgestone. They're helping us out with some tires. Tires and suspension go pretty hand in hand. If you don't have a good tire and you're not gripping the ground well, your suspension's not going to work well either.
I was wondering if you were going to try and wipe off those hands or not.
Oh man, if there's one thing I hate, it's oil. So you'd think like, why do you do a suspension? But it's just part of the game. This is what keeps me sane. Anthony is the one that pretty much in charge of this. He writes down all the stuff that comes in, marks the date that it came in, and kind of gives us a good overall idea of what we're doing for it. Without that, it's easy to get, I guess as Gucci Man says, lost in the sauce.
Damn right.
So that's Anthony and Will over there.
What's up?
What's happening?
And I'll tour you down this way first. So
We'll get to you guys in a second.
a lot of this stuff is suspension that got shipped into us. So I worked really hard, again, at staying organized. So for this individual.
Dude, that's clean.
Oh, thank you, man. Those things looked very different when they came in.
Oh, I bet.
We refurbished. Those are the first generation cone valve forks.
Okay.
So they looked very different. They had a lot of time on them, but you would expect. But this is our friend Taylor Bell. He sent them in. And what we try to do is keep your rifle case that you sent it in. All your parts are in one spot. So again, it's really hard for us to misplace something for it. So these first couple racks are all stuff we get sent into us. But we have grown a lot lately, so we've put in a few more racks for stuff that gets shipped in. And then,
but like, I mean, you have all these parts in stock too, like.
Yeah, these are all our JBI brand parts that we have as well for it. And and then let's see, we recently became a Showa distributor in the US, so we're slowly starting to stock up on some Showa stuff. Right now, our main concentration is wear parts. So the most common parts, such as seals and bushings that we're stocking, that's where we get the most demand in.
Didn't
here
you
at the shop.
Didn't you tell me something about Showa? You guys are one of the only distributors or something
Yeah.
for Showa, right?
Yeah, inside the U.S. Pro
Yes.
Circuit does it as
Yeah.
well, but I don't think they're very open to like selling small ones and twosies.
Yeah.
I think they're more just send us your suspension, which I understand that side of business as well. But for us, we like to be very open. You can send it to us, or we can send you parts to fix it yourself, man. The DIY economy is huge nowadays, especially with the internet. So we want to be the most transparent and open shop that we can be for people. And then this is like suspension we have locally come in, which would be these couple racks.
So you have it separated out from like mailed in stuff.
We
to
try to. Some stuff bleeds over a little bit depending on how busy it gets.
Yeah.
For it, but yeah, these next couple racks are that, and then this is more mailed in suspension.
Yeah.
As well. My dad came in the other day and helped out and put these racks together for us.
Does he live out here?
He does, yeah, just up the road,
okay.
man. My parents are retired, and he likes to come in and help out every once in a while. So a really cool experience I had with him.
Nice.
Because I grew up helping him out at his office.
So now he gets to repay you.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
a sense, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always feel in debt to him for just the opportunities he gave me growing up. So I would not be here without the help of my mom and dad. That's could not be said enough. But yeah, so that's all of our kind of walk-in stuff.
What's this right here?
This is my bike. So one of our shop bikes that we have. This is a 23.
It's good year. It's good year.
Yeah. Even got the Jordan logo.
Dude, it's good. I like it.
Just a big Bulls fan growing up. Jordan was the man. Still is.
Yeah, he
So
is.
being a 23 model bike, I was like, you know what? Let's throw some just compliments to him. Plus,
Yeah.
the dude used to own a street bike racing team. So the
Yes,
guy
he did.
does,
He
like-
is in motorsports.
Yes,
Jordan
yeah,
is
so
for
I
sure.
thought it was pretty fitting.
Yeah. So what special sauce stuff do you have in here? Yeah. I'm like, I know that there's something in there.
There's some cool stuff on these forks. These are 6500. They obviously got our JBI spec. The tubes, upper tubes are Kashima coated. I've had these since 2017.
Yeah, they're actually.
If you
holding up
don't
pretty well.
race,
Yeah.
man, your stuff stays really nice.
Yes,
I don't race that often. So, and if you're roosting me at the track, I cut.
Yeah.
And then the lower tubes are tubes we're making ourselves. We're working on for the past couple of years. They're actually made out of titanium. It's been a long time making those. So we're hoping to get our first batch in July. But as it comes with making anything new, there's always some challenges you don't expect that pop up. So hopefully this first production batch we get in July is perfect. If not, we'll go back to the drawing board and figure it out. But we've had many prototype sets made that worked really, really well. So now we're just finalizing some of that. But what's cool is we're building spring forks that are almost as light as an air fork. They're not quite, there's always gonna be that difference. But now a set of spring forks is only 1.5 pounds heavier than an air fork. So it's a really cool way to, one, have lower tubes already in stock, coated, but also be lighter and never rust. So I think there's a lot of compliments in that. And just, if you're gonna make something, why not make it the best?
Yep.
So that's one thing we're really big on is we're gonna make it, let's do it to the best we can within reason.
Yeah.
We're not gonna make it out of diamond, but like within, have a functional improvement on that. So then right behind it is Spring City. We got a lot of names for things. This is where we keep all our springs in stock. We try to work really hard to have all the different springs. So with that, sometimes we have different manufacturers. For instance, K-Tech makes a 60 Newton spring rate, but they don't make it 58 Newton. So we use Q springs for that. But K-Tech does make it 57. They don't make it 56. So what I'm getting at is it's really important to us to be able to provide you with the exact spring rate that we think fits best instead of us just saying, well, here's a spring that's pretty close for you. I was about to drop the F-bomb.
You can, I don't care. Yeah.
We think, fuck that. Like, if we're putting in this effort, let's do it to the best we can for it. So our springs go all the way back to this way.
Anthony's
then,
not allowed to cuss though.
Fuckity fuck fuck.
Yeah.
You don't have a mic on, so they can barely hear it.
And then, yeah, man. So springs kind of continue back this way. And then this is good old Box City, where we can do all our shipping from.
That's shit city over there.
Yes, it is, man.
How long have you been in here?
Going on since 2018, September 10th
Okay.
is the date that we moved here. I got pictures of me pulling up out back in a big Penske truck. I loaded up all my stuff at my house. And at that time, I think we had the JBI wall drop here and maybe like 3 shelves.
Okay.
And this workbench area I brought back from Arizona for it. And then
So you have my set of forks that I'm going to be testing on Friday over here
for
somewhere,
sure,
don't you?
yeah, let's take a look at them, man.
Yeah.
I'll show you what we're doing.
As long as Anthony doesn't touch them, I'm good.
Hey, I disassembled them
Yeah,
All right.
he's,
Disassembly's fine.
we're doing a couple updates to him. So these are
here's what Anthony reached out to me and said, hey, somebody else has the forks for, I have a 25 CR 450.
Yes.
And somebody else was using them. They were testing them. And so once he's done, do you have like a time limit? Or
No, some people...
Be careful, because I don't want somebody to take advantage of this.
Some people are...
Some people take more liberty than others.
Yes.
But they don't technically have a time limit of how
No.
long you can have them. But I think that's a good thing, because you want somebody to test it. You really want somebody to find out and get good feedback of what the suspension is. And so I got them, or I was on vacation. I'm now back from vacation. That was the only vacation I was not allowed to ride before. So now I can get back to riding. And so now it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna get in here. We're gonna talk about my setting and what I want and all that kind of stuff. Get a baseline that he's gonna put together, and then I'm gonna try them out on Friday. I'm going to run the stuff that I have now, and then right after I do a moto, I'm gonna put these forks on and see what the setting is with that. So I don't know, we didn't really get a clear answer on the time limit. Just be mindful of it.
Yeah.
Just don't be a dick.
No,
you know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, I put my best faith in people. You know, man, in the moto industry, it seems like the majority are really, really, really good people.
Yep.
And I definitely do my due diligence as people I tend to know and have somewhat of a rapport with before we just loan stuff out. But these are the forks we're going to be working on for you, man. These are originally 2023 Works Edition forks that I bought just from motorsport.com. And,
partner of the program.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So thank you, Motorsport, for having great prices on OEM stuff. And we're going to update the Pro Perch. Not the perch itself, just this silver piece right here is a very early, I call them adapter bodies. Reason for that is before we make production of something, we're going to make a few sample pieces to verify fitment. And that's what these are done for. So we're going to update that, which has no performance improvement, but does have an aesthetic. We have new volume spacers we're going to swap out. And then a slightly updated damping setting. That's the internals as well. But most notably...
Yeah, because I'm fat.
That's for springs. But most notably, I think you're going to appreciate come Friday is we're going to get rid of these caps.
Oh,
and we're going to put in our Works Edition caps that we got. So the 450 comes with blue. I just think Hondas need to be red.
Yeah, you could have a little bit of blue, but you could get carried away
as
with
an
it.
accent.
Yeah,
I think so.
You know what the blue and red remind me of is I grew up with a hot rod dad.
Okay.
And so all like the fittings of like engines, especially NOS, like nitrous, and stuff like that.
Oh.
All those fittings were like that.
Yes, they
red
are,
and blue,
aren't they?
all of them. You know, and so like anytime I see red and blue together, that's immediately where my head goes. It's for, I don't know. But yeah, no, these will be good.
I'm psyched. It's just what a huge help to be able to adjust it with your fingers, because on these forks specifically, the Showas, the clicker's right underneath the handlebar.
Yep.
And it can be really hard to get to. Usually people strip them and mess them up, which I get it. So come this Friday, man, it'd be really easy for you to make quick adjustments right at the track.
That's a good thing too, is I can do it on the track.
Yeah.
Like I could just pull over really quick and be like, oh shit.
You're not going to do a Tomac where you adjust the clutch just in the air, do a little click.
If I could ride like Tomac.
I want to see a pro rider do that. How cool would that be? See me in the air,
that's
do a little
actually
like
a good
click,
idea.
click, click.
That's actually, you technically could.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had, I don't know. I don't want to say that. And then all of a sudden somebody does it and they eat shit. And then we're like, oh, I saw it on a YouTube video somewhere. Yeah.
I think Jet can.
Yeah.
Next moto, Jet, I want to see no-hander, click it up.
That would be funny.
But yeah, so I'm looking forward to just updating the spec minorly. Again, just based on the information we receive.
Yep.
By minorly, I mean the shim change we're going to make is like 2 to 3% different.
Yep.
So there's a chance it won't even feel any different. But in my mind, I know we at least tried it, because at this point, all the low-hanging fruit of making this stuff perform really well, we've already got. Now it's just getting those incremental improvements that we get a little bit each year. So that's the main reason for that, is we want to update these to our newest spec, put some proper spring rates in for you, throw those finger clickers in, which with that we got to swap out the valving, which will be pretty easy for it. But these are just going to look awesome on top. I think they're pair well with our lower red lugs that we got on them. Right here, just stuff we're currently working on for it. Up top tends to be more custom builds, so stuff we have out for coatings for long term, and then as we get lower, it tends to be more quicker turnaround times.
Is that the Mike Brown?
That was my first question when he called. I was like, wait, is this? And he goes, no, man, I get that a lot. He goes, we're both bald, but he's way faster.
Okay.
And I was like, I like your sense of humor, man. I dig it. But no, it is not. But really nice guy. We're doing a really cool YZ build for him.
Oh, nice.
It's going to look super trick
Yeah.
once we're all done. And then this is like our teardown table. I've had this since a long time. A friend of mine, Tyler, that rides for Concrete Cowboys on his Harley.
Yeah.
He built it for me. His name's TallBoyT on Instagram. Dude, thank you. And we've had this for a long time. Motion Pro makes this, which they no longer make. So we actually redesigned this and remade it. We have 2 JBI vices that look similar but different now.
Yeah.
For
I
it.
thought he threw down a bag of ice just now.
Yeah. No,
boy.
these are we'll show you we'll show you some of our DIY kits. This is Shim City. So we recently got a bunch of new shims in, which this isn't even close to what we're gonna have. But this goes all the way down in different sizes for quite a ways.
Just for you never really know exactly what you're going to need on suspension.
For sure.
Yeah.
And we hate running out. So recently we just got a huge order in today. So this is all overflow that we can't fit into here. But today I just bought new containers that are bigger and deeper so that we can fit them in here.
Big and deep's
So,
important.
Dude, it is. I like where your mind's at. And then Anthony's putting together some DIY kits for us. So that's where if you don't want to send your suspension to us, we will actually...
I'm not peeing in a cup.
Will you pass? No. If you don't want to send your suspension to us, we will take the time to build you the same custom setup we would here at the shop and provide it to you in a way that's pretty intuitive and easy to install. By no means is it like a first timer to do suspension on, even though some people still do. But if you're pretty well versed in suspension, or your buddy is, you can easily do this. And then we went as far as having some fun with the packaging.
I was going to
and
say, it
making
looks
some
like a
fun.
prescription.
Exactly, yeah, man.
Yeah.
So it says symptoms, comfort and confidence. It's got our RX spec number on it for JBI. So we want to have some fun with it. Again, like with our coatings, we put a ton of effort into our settings and just the branding and everything. So we want our packaging to reflect that as well. And that's why we got the lifesavers. So all their kits come with a lifesaver at the bottom of it. One, you get a little piece of candy. 2, sometimes people call us and say, hey man, your suspension's a lifesaver. So we're like, dude, we get it for it. So the DIY kits are an awesome way that if you don't want to ship your suspension to us, we can still give you some really high performing JBI spec suspension at a cheaper price, because now you don't have to ship it to and from, and you're not paying labor costs for us to do it. You probably just got to pay your buddy a case of beer or buy him dinner and have him install it. Plus, Anthony does a great job of filming me doing install videos, and he does all the editing on that. So a lot of our DIY kits have step-by-step directions on how to put it in for it. And if you need some help from there, you can always call me or send me an email, and we can help you out with some few details on that also. Up here is like our calendar for the week. This tells what we're working on. Right now, Will already built up the valving for us.
That's Will, by the way.
Right here. And then he lays it out for me to kind of give a little once-over spec. So these guys do a great job on doing disassembly, starting to get stuff partially rebuilt, and then I'll do the last couple steps just to double check everything and give it that little JBI touch and love at the very end. By no means they don't know how to do it, but I think I'm a little too hands-on sometimes, which is I like to make sure that everything's just spot on. So these are for a 2022 Yamaha YZ250F for a guy named Matt Casey. I think he tunes into our YouTube out of New York/Jersey.
Oh,
so
right.
hey man, we're getting your stuff done. It'll be coming your way in a couple days. So thanks for taking time to send it in. And then finally is probably our unsung hero, and that's our photo booth. RIDE JBI is a website that we make ourselves here at RIDE JBI. So all our product photos you see is done by us, myself or Anthony. And we care a lot about being very transparent. I mean, if you send your stuff in, I want you to know what you're paying for, why you're paying for it, what you should expect from your bike once we're done with it as well. I feel like that shows a lot of confidence on our end on what we're doing, and it makes you feel more confident on going, hey, I'm gonna try these guys out. Because with that, I feel like the more you know, the more you appreciate what you're spending your money towards, and then how your bike performs afterwards. The more transparent we can be, we can set reasonable expectations of, here's how your bike works in stock form, here's what you should expect once we're done afterwards from us. And a big thing we have is our JBI settings guide, which I don't have right now, but that goes with all the revalves once we're done. And it shows you how we built your stuff, and it gives you alternative settings as well that you can tune to the suspension to. So even if I'm not there, you can reference the settings guide and know what would JB do. You know what clicker to adjust, how much to adjust it, and then again, most importantly, what to expect from the bike after making that adjustment on there. So that's pretty much our JBI shop, man. We've been here 7 years, and it's almost like we're getting ready to outgrow it, but hopefully not, man. Shop space isn't cheap. So we'll get more
Especially
and more,
in California.
yeah, so
Yeah.
we'll get more and more creative with storing stuff and where we put it. But I'm stoked to have you here, man, and just giving it a tour. I've been a big fan of the channel, seen you around at the track. To be honest, I've been a little shy to approach. I'm definitely more of that way. But I'm glad you reached out to us, and I'm really excited to show you what we can do with the Honda. That's one of my favorite bikes. We have a lot of time with them. I've been tuning the Honda since 2005, if we're referencing the CRF models, and the CR models since 02. Sadly, they're gone. But so I'm excited to show you what we can do with some forks, man. I'm pumped to get some feedback from you this Friday, and just see where we're at.
Thanks for letting me come by, bro.
Dude, you're very welcome, man.